good afternoon, good evening, good morning to wherever you are. Welcome to our Access to Space for All initiative, KiboCUBE 6th round question and answer webinar. My name is Hazuki Mori of the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this webinar. Today I am having problems sharing my screen, so my colleague Wenbin will help me out with the sharing, and also he will be active in the chat. So yeah, thank you so much, Wenbin. Yeah, exactly. So before we begin, I'd like to give you some housekeeping things. So first, please turn off your cameras and your microphones. We are able to mute you, but we cannot turn off your cameras. So please make sure to turn off your cameras and microphones on your side. Next, please use the chat box to ask any questions. At the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A time. We will have Q&A time for that. For answering all of your questions, but please do not wait until then. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, please just send it in the chat whenever you have it. And third, please answer our questionnaire. We will put up a questionnaire link in the chat later. My colleague Wenbin will be posting useful links about websites, but also our questionnaire link. So please make sure to answer that before you leave. And last but not least, if you are on social media, please use the hashtag #AccessToSpaceForAll and KiboCUBE to help us promote this webinar. So we are active at UNOOSA on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Next page, please. Thank you. So as you can see, the agenda is quite simple. I will begin with the introduction to the Access to Space for All initiative and KiboCUBE. Many of you might already know the initiative because we've been doing a lot of webinars about it. So I will give you a brief introduction of the initiative and KiboCUBE. I will also dive into the announcement of opportunity document because we had a lot of questions coming in during the registration. So I'll dive into that as well. So I'll talk for 20-25 minutes. And after that, I will hand the floor over to my colleague, Ms. Yasuko Shibano of JAXA. She will give you an introduction to the International Space Station, to the Japanese experiment module Kibo, and the J-SSOD small sat deployer. And after that, we will go to the Q&A. So in the beginning of the Q&A, we will answer questions that came in through the registration form. And after that, we will pick up all the questions that should come in the chat. So as I said earlier, if you have anything, please make sure to write it in the chat. Okay, so I'd like to dive into the Access to Space for All initiative. So as you can see there, the goal of this initiative is to provide research and orbital opportunities for UN member states to access space and to ensure that the benefits of space, in particular for sustainable development, are truly accessible to all. So this initiative has been organized in 2018. Before that, we have been providing theoretical knowledge through regional centers, fellowships, workshops, and training, but to answer the needs of hands-on practical opportunities, the initiative was organized in 2018. However, KiboCUBE started in 2015, so it was an early program and it is organized under this initiative now. And for the initiative, we provide this by providing access to unique ground and space infrastructures that are usually too costly or non-accessible to developing countries, and we do this free of charge. So for KiboCUBE, this is a great example that through the cooperation of JAXA, you will have access to the International Space Station, to the Kibo module, to the deployer. So you are having this rare opportunity to have your satellite be deployed from there. And as you can see there, we have a wide range of intergovernmental and industry partners, and partnerships are a truly distinctive feature of the initiative. And these partners help provide the state-of-the-art facilities and infrastructures, and they provide a lot of support for the development of technical and scientific capabilities. Next page, please. So this page shows the core values of the initiative. The first core value is that we provide hands-on capacity from A to Z. So A to Z is meaning gradual learning steps, starting small and leading to complex skills. And we do this in a responsible and sustainable way by providing support for the teams to comply with international guidelines. The second core value is the social impact it has to your country, region, and young generations. So for the example of KiboCUBE, we had 100 young students from Guatemala take part in the development of their first satellite, Quetzal-1. 100 young and motivated students is a great impact for future space activities. Another impact it could have is it can enlarge the possibility for more interest and investment in STI, science, technology, and innovation. The third value is that we foster international cooperation. So through KiboCUBE, you will be able to work with the Japanese colleagues at JAXA and the supporting members there, but also you are allowed to form international teams to apply to KiboCUBE. So it doesn't have to be your own country, it doesn't have to be one organization. If you have partners, if you have teams, you're allowed to form a team and send out the applications. So it definitely fosters international cooperation. And last but not least, through the initiative, we provide cutting-edge skills for jobs and other opportunities. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in this slide, you will see that the benefits mentioned in the slide before are all linked to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This agenda has been adopted by all member states, and it is a global mission to reach these goals by 2030. I will mention this a lot because we will ask for links between your project and the SDGs in the application form. So if you are not aware of the SDGs, please make sure to check out the websites that are in the presentation. So space is relevant to these goals and can help them and help achieve them in so many different ways. Our office, for example, in collaboration with the European GNSS Agency, published a report in 2018, and we demonstrated that Earth observation and global navigation satellites support nearly 40 of the targets that are underpinning the 17 goals. Next page, please. As a whole, the initiative especially fosters SDG number 4, quality education, and number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So the technology and infrastructure that the participating teams achieve contributes to these goals. For example, in KiboCUBE, the winning teams not only build a satellite, but they also develop infrastructure such as ground stations. Next slide, please. In this slide, you can see the different projects being linked to the different SDGs. So as I mentioned earlier, in the initiative, we will ask applicants to make links between their project and a certain SDG goal. And as you can see here, the applications of the projects link to totally different goals. For example, this is a different program, but under drop test, which is an experiment, which is an opportunity that will allow you to do microgravity experiments in the Bremen drop tower. A team that participated tested nichinol, which is a material used in the medical field for manufacturing heart emulators. So the things they tested in the drop tower are actually linking to SDG number 3, health. So I'm not going to explain everything there, but you can see that the applications of the different experiments conducted link to many different things. Next slide, please. Thank you. So our initiative currently looks like this. We have 8 hands-on opportunities organized under 3 different overarching themes that we call tracks. So these tracks offer gradual learning steps that help participants develop capabilities. In the top, you see the hypergravity microgravity track, which is designed with the end goal of developing capacity of running space experiments on board orbital vehicles or space stations. So usually we would start from the left side, which is the ground opportunities. We have one called drop test, which I mentioned earlier, which is in collaboration with ZARM and DLR to provide microgravity experiments at the Bremen drop tower. It is actually open for applications right now, so if you're interested, please make sure to check the webpage. Under that, you see HyperJESS, which is an experiment, which is an opportunity in collaboration with ESA, where we use a large diameter centrifuge facility at STEC. In the middle, we do not have an opportunity there, but in the future, we hope to provide suborbital and parabolic flights as a step. And on the right-hand side, you see the on-orbit opportunities. So we have Bartolomeo, which we do with Airbus, which provides opportunity to utilize the Bartolomeo platform on the ISS. We work with CMSA, China Manned Space Agency, to utilize the Chinese space station, and also we're in discussion with Sierra Nevada Corporation to provide opportunities on board the Dream Chaser. Next, you see the satellite development track, which all of you are interested in, of course. On the left-hand side, you see CANSATs, which is an opportunity we do not have, which we hope to have in the future. for providing gradual learning steps. But on the right-hand side, you see two on-orbit opportunities. One is KiboCUBE. I will explain that in detail later, but I hope all of you are aware of it already. And we also have Vega C, which we work with Avio to provide a 3U deploy opportunity from the Vega C launcher. It was actually open until last month. We've closed the applications. If we have another Vega C opportunity, please try to apply. If you're interested in KiboCUBE, I believe Vega C will be another step because they are providing 3U. And last but not least, the exploration track, which is an opportunity that we opened this year. As you can see, ISONScope is also open. It provides telescopes. It is the provision of telescopes, actually. So if you're interested in that, please make sure to check that out. And in the future, we hope to provide more opportunities like analog missions and things beyond GEO. So before I dive into KiboCUBE, I'd just like to mention that we are doing a series of webinars for the hypergravity microgravity track that I've mentioned earlier. So this is actually relating to some series of webinars we did for the satellite development track. So this year in January and February, we worked with JAXA and also UNOOSA to provide a series called the KiboCUBE Academy, which we provided theoretical knowledge and technical knowledge through a series of webinars. And it was a success, it was a hit. So we're doing the same thing for the hypergravity microgravity track. So the lessons that we would like you to learn are the fundamental special characteristics, advantages of hypergravity microgravity, understanding the type of research, the available platforms, applications, and the benefits. We also want you to gain knowledge on how to develop an experiment and also to understand the existing networks and experts so that you can reach out to them. So we started last week. You can find more information on that on our website, but this week we will dive into a specific field of science. So we're diving into life science, physical science, and technology demonstration, but this Wednesday we will dive into biology. So if you're interested, please make sure to register. In June, we will dive into available opportunities, which is really talking about the hypergravity microgravity track opportunities that we provide. It's not just me blabbing about them. It will be our partners really explaining to you in detail about how amazing they are. So please make sure to check that out. And the regional activities, we've invited space agencies from all over the world to tell us about the regional activities. And our partners JAXA is actually going to be there as well. They will be giving us more examples about what they do on the Kibo module. Next page, please. So finally, we can get into KiboCUBE. I believe most of you already know this part, but as I've mentioned earlier, this is a program that we started in 2015 with JAXA, and it is to provide educational or research institutions with the opportunity to deploy a CubeSat from the International Space Station Japanese experiment module Kibo. Next page, please. So why is KiboCUBE so amazing? The first thing is that CubeSats offer a large variety of applications, and developing a CubeSat can be the first step for a country in acquisition of the skills and know-how needed to develop a space program. Second, CubeSats are affordable to develop and represents an achievable entry point to space activities. And in KiboCUBE, JAXA will bear the cost of the launch of the CubeSat to the ISS and deployment from Kibo. So you basically just need to focus on your satellite. Third, KiboCUBE has lower vibration and more friendly environment during launch. So basically your satellite will be wrapped up and sent to the ISS as cargo, as my colleague Shibano-san will explain later. But it will have lower vibration compared to being launched from a rocket, deployed from a rocket. So it has a great support in that sense. And last but not least, we provide administrative support. UNOOSA provides administrative support, and there's a lot of support, technical support coming from JAXA during the development. Next page, please. So I've pointed out the SDGs earlier. As KiboCUBE, we foster SDG 4, 8, and 9 by fostering innovation and supporting education, and training on skill sets for developing cutting-edge technology. But the applications that you will bring in through your projects will be totally different, and we hope that we can reach more goals with that. Next page, please. So in this page, you can see the list of our past winners. Kenya and Guatemala have actually successfully deployed their satellites already. Kenya deployed it in 2018, and it has successfully re-entered last year. Guatemala deployed their first satellite last year. And Mauritius is our third winner, and we hope to see the deployment soon later this year. Indonesia, Moldova, and Sika are still developing, but we hope to see their satellites moving on as well. Next page, please. So from here, I'd like to dive into how you should apply to the 6th round. There is a lot of information that I'm going to say now, so please make sure to read all the documents and things carefully. So you can find all the documents needed on this webpage that I've shown you here, and you can see all the documents in the little red circle. So the really important ones are the 4 that are under documents. So reference materials are, of course, very helpful material, but please make sure to read the 4 documents that are underneath documents. So the announcement of opportunity, it will basically explain about the 6th round. The CubeSat mission application template, this is the application form. The GEM payload accommodation handbook. GEM is the Japanese experiment module. So this is the handbook for the interface with the Kibo module and the J-SSOD deployer. And lastly, the guidance on space object registration and frequency management for small and very small satellites. So you will need to read this when you when you work with ITU to get your frequency registered. Next page, please. So another useful tip for applying to the 6th round is to check out our webinars. This is actually the first round that we've had so much information already provided on the website because we've done so much webinars during this pandemic. So the first webinar is called How to Build a Great Application Form. It goes into details about how to fill in the application form. So you can see me, my UNOOSA really explaining about what we'd like to see in each of the parts of the application form. So I think that would be very helpful. Also, KiboCUBE Academy, is definitely very helpful. It is 4 webinars that dive into theoretical, technical knowledge about how to develop, operate, and utilize a satellite. And this was done in collaboration with UNISEC Global. And we have Japanese professors helping out in the webinar. So please make sure to check these 2 out. Also, in the last fall-winter season, we've done a series of tips for access to spaceport applications. So we've done webinars that help you with communication, awareness raising, space law regulations, and innovative technologies such as AI. So please make sure to check that out. You might think that communication might not be directly related to KiboCUBE, but no, we ask for you in the application form for a plan, a communication plan. So I think this would be helpful for you in that sense. And last, we had World Space Week in October, and we invited all the past winners of KiboCUBE to explain about their experiences. So I think you'll get some practical advice from the winners about how they made their application form, how they're doing their development and all that. So please make sure to check that webinar out as well. Next page, please. Okay, so I am going to dive into the announcement of opportunity document. I'm just cutting out some important parts, so please make sure to read them later. So as I've mentioned earlier, the deadline for the applications is May 31st. And as you can see, number 5, the number of opportunities is 2. So the maximum is 2 entities, and each team will have 1 unit CubeSats, 1 U CubeSats. So we can have 1 winner or we can have 2 winners, but 1 U CubeSats for each. Next page, please. Great. Now this is the program schedule. You can see the left side on the application on in the announcement of opportunity, but the right hand is a little schedule that we've laid out for you. But basically, after submission, you will have we will take a few months for the selection, and if you are shortlisted, we will inform you in the middle of July. And after that, you will have a few months to update your um, applications, send them in again in October, and then we will make the final selection in December. So I'd like to emphasize the little sentence under the box. So it says that the application process consists of 2 stages. In the first stage, entities shall describe the cost elements of the CubeSat. If the entity is shortlisted, the entity will have 3.5 months to submit a detailed explanation on how the budget is acquired. So this is the first time we're having a 2-step process. So in the beginning, when you submit everything in May, all you need to worry about is the cost elements of the CubeSat. So you do not have to worry about where you're going to get the funding, how you're going to get the funding. That part is for later. Of course, you would need to think about it, but you in that application form, you just need to mention about the cost elements, how much it's going to cost for the CubeSat. And when you are shortlisted, you will have another 3 months to update your application. And in those 3 months, we will ask you to make sure that you know how to fund your project. So in those 3.5 months, you will need to find a way to secure those costs that you mentioned in the first section. So it is a new step, but we hope that this will help you because it's giving you more time. Yeah, and after that, it's very clear. You will have 15 to 18 months for the design, assembly, test phase. JAXA will work with you for the safety reviews, and then you will hand the satellite over to JAXA. It will be launched, and then it will be deployed. Next page, please. So this is another important page that I would really like you to read. We had a lot of questions in the registration form as well, so it's about eligibility. So this opportunity is open to research institutes, universities, and other public organizations. And private companies, non-governmental or nonprofit agencies are ineligible. However, I'd like to emphasize that if you form teams, as I've mentioned earlier, if you form teams and the leading institute is a research institute, university, public organization that is eligible, private companies and NGOs, NPOs are, it is totally fine for them to be a team member. So in that sense, you are eligible, but that you cannot be eligible alone. You will need to partner up with one of the eligible agencies. And next, it is the eligible criteria is that the entities must be located in developing countries. So for how we decide which country is a developing country, which country is not, we refer to this report that I've put up here, which is the World Economic Situation and Prospects Report. In that report, you will see that there are 3 different criteria. One is developing economies. The one in the middle is economies in transitions, and the other one is developed countries. So if your country is listed under developing economies, you will be eligible. Next page, please. Thank you. And for the selection, it is as written here. I'd like to emphasize a few things. So first, it says the completeness of the application form. And this is a very important feature. We really need all the information that is in the application form. And we do understand that some of the information is very specific and it might be hard for you to fill out, but please put in as much information as you can. If you leave somewhere blank, it's really not helping. So please try to put as much information as you can. Second, scientific and technical value of the CubeSat to be deployed under this opportunity. So, of course, we'd like to see scientific and technical value. We don't have to see everything in detail, but please make sure that it has a scientific background and technical background. And also, we will really value the feasibility of the project. So please make sure to bring a feasible idea. And in the middle, you will see that we have the communication dissemination plan, so that we really want you to promote your project within your country, within your region. So that is one thing we will definitely look at. Inclusiveness. So we would like to see a nice gender balance. So that is something definitely important. And last but not least, the link between the CubeSat and the Sustainable Development Goals. So we would like to see your project linking to the SDGs so that it contributes to one of the SDGs. Next page, please. So this is another important page. It's roles and responsibilities. The selected entity will need to conduct all the following activities that are done in bullets. So as you can see here, you will need to design, analyze, manufacture, and test the CubeSat. JAXA will, of course, help you during the testing phase for the safety review and all that, but you will need to be in charge of designing, analyzing, manufacturing, and testing the CubeSat. You will also need to conduct all the radio frequency related matters. You will need to deliver the CubeSat to JAXA, expected to be Tsukuba Space Center in Japan. You will need to operate the CubeSat after it's launched, and you will need to register the space object. So there are many things that you must do. And as you can see in the red circle, please note that any costs associated with the activities above, so including employment costs, travel expenses, and transportation fees, shall be borne by the selected entity. So any costs that you need for testing your satellite, any costs that you need to send the satellite to JAXA, send it to Japan, those costs will need to be covered by you. Next page, please. So this is the last page. For the submission, we ask you two things. So the application form on the website is one Word document, but we've divided into document 1, document 2. So document 1 is the letter of endorsement from the head of the entity, and document 2 is the CubeSat mission application form. So for document 1, we would like to actually see the sign, the seal, the stamp, whatever is official, deemed official in your country. So we would like to ask you to scan that page and send it to us. While for the CubeSat mission application document, which is document 2, we would appreciate it if you can generate that Word document directly into a PDF. So you don't have to scan it. We would appreciate it if you can just generate the Word directly into a PDF. So it's much more clear. And we had a question this morning about document 1. Since the pandemic is going on and it's very hard to get a physical sign, physical stamp and all that, we are okay with electronic signs. However, when things get better later in the process, we would like you to send us the actual signed version with the stamp, with the seal, with the actual official one. So when you submit it at the end of May, electronic one is fine, but afterwards you will need to send us a full document. Okay, I think I've explained a lot about the announcement of opportunity document. If you have any questions, please make sure to put it in the chat so that we can answer it later. And now I would like to give the floor to Ms. Yasuko Shibano of JAXA. She will dive into the details about the ISS, Kibo, and J-SSOD. So Shibano-san, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you for your introduction. So, today I'd like to explain overview of ISS Kibo, J-SSOD, and KiboCUBE. International Space Station is a huge man-made construction located about 400 kilometers above the Earth, and it is circled around the Earth at a speed of 90 minutes per orbit. The ISS project aims at improving science and technology to enhance life and industries on the ground. 15 countries are participating in the ISS project, including NASA, Russia, ESA, Canada, and Japan. As you may know, just last Friday, the Crew Dragon spacecraft was launched, and the astronauts from the US, Japan, and French arrived at the International Space Station in April 24. JAXA has completed its human space facility, the Japanese experiment module Kibo, and trained astronauts who will operate the ISS and Kibo at JAXA. Kibo has a pressurized module and an exposed facility. So a variety of missions continue today, both inside and outside Kibo module. Kibo has a unique exposed facility with an airlock here and a remote manipulator system here. Using airlock and a remote manipulator system, experimental equipment can be taken out and brought in from inside an Kibo module to outside it. The one-off unique system is James Small Satellite Orbital Deployer, which is called J-SSOD. J-SSOD system has deployed by JAXA to deploy the small-sized satellite into low Earth orbit from Kibo. The first orbital deployment of satellite from Kibo was successfully conducted through the J-SSOD in October 2012. Since then, small-sized satellites from numerous countries around the world have been deployed from Kibo. This table shows a specification of J-SSOD system. First, the size of the satellite that can be released is from 1 to 6 unit, wide 6U, and a 50 kilogram class size. 1U is a cubic size of HDE 10 cm by 10 cm by 10 cm. The mass of the satellite is 1.33 kg or less per 1 unit. Next, the altitude of the deployment will depend on the ISS altitude. So it will be approximately from 318 km to 450 km. Inclination is 51.6 degrees. Deployment direction is shown the right figure. ISS move in the direction of plus x. And the satellite will be deployed in the opposite direction here. This is to prevent the deployed satellite from colliding with the ISS. The initial velocity of the deployed satellite depends on the mass of the satellite, but the fastest is about 1.7 meters per sec for CubeSat. Finally, the basaltic coefficient is an indicator to determine whether a satellite will fall normally and away from the ISS, and the rules are defined to design satellites to be below the specified value. This slide shows how a satellite is released from the J-SSOD. There are big spring and aspiration mechanisms on the J-SSOD case. When the satellite is set in J-SSOD case, the big spring is compressed, and the satellite are kept in the case by this door, this one. Then the separation mechanism receives the command from the ground. The separation mechanism is moving, and the door is opened. The resulting stretching of the large spring causes the satellite to be deployed. Next, two illustrations shows the release configuration. The left figure called the J-SSOD case has two stack slots for 3U satellites, and 2 of them can be installed at both ends above the equipment to be carried out. Therefore, a total of 12 units of satellites can be released at a time. On the other hand, the J-SSOD case on the right is a case with enhanced deployment capabilities. The case can deploy 6U per one slot and a total of 24 units. In addition, this case can be used. At present, we choose the case we use according to the number of satellites to be released at one time, but we expect to use J-SSOD as the main case. This graph plots the number of small satellite released in each year. The table shows the total number of small satellites released into space in a year. And then the number of satellites deployed from Kibo is shown here. JAXA, NASA, and the US private sector can operate the satellite deployment mission from Kibo. By April 2021, 278 satellites have been successfully deployed from Kibo. JAXA expected that Kibo will be used by many more small-sized satellite deployment missions in the future. This slide shows an overview of small-sized satellites. The satellite, the mass less than 1 kilogram, are called picosat. Those mass less than 20 kilogram are called nanosat, and those mass less than 100 kilogram are classified as microsat. Small-sized satellites are extremely low cost, so new player can welcome to join, and it can be used for education tools and challenging missions. Also, a small-sized satellite can be deployed and operated in about 1 to 2 years. Therefore, college students can experience the whole process of satellite deployment and operation, and a user can get quick return on your business investment, technology demonstration, and so on. When the mission is successful, practical remote sensing data can be obtained from small satellites. It means that efficient data can be obtained even with low cost and short-term development, which is a great advantage in terms of cost effectiveness. Next, I explain how the developed satellite will be transported and released. First, the deployed CubeSat is installed on J-SSOD case, and then packed into a cargo transfer bag with cushioning. Then they are transported to NASA and launched as pressurized cargo by rocket. After the J-SSOD case arrived on the ISS, astronauts mount the J-SSOD case on the MPEP. We deployed 8 nanosatellites in March. At that time, a Japanese astronaut, Soichi Noguchi, conducted preparatory work onboarded the Kibo and uploaded the video to YouTube. A platform called MPEP and a core of J-SSOD, this one, mounted on the slide table. This is the slide table. Then remove the cover of the case. There are satellites to be released. And then the case is covered with MRI. which is used to prevent the temperature of the satellite on the case from rising due to direct sunlight. The setup is completed. The final configuration will be confirmed on the ground by video survey. And then the case is carried to the airlock after the pressure is reduced, and the door on the space side of the airlock will open, and then the robot arm carries it to the deployment position, and the satellite will be deployed. The operation commands to move the robot arm and to deploy the satellite are sent from the ground. Flight control team and engineering team are in a perfect condition and will support deployment from the ground. The size of the satellite is small, but the mission is made possible by many support members. This slide shows the partner to promote J-SSOD mission. Current users include three types of partner who are promoting the J-SSOD system. The first, it is an international strategic partner. KiboCUBE is an embodiment of dedicated collaboration between UNOOSA and JAXA in utilizing the ISS Kibo for the world. KiboCUBE aims to provide educational and research institutions from space emerging countries of United Nations membership with opportunities to deploy from the ISS Kibo. The second type of user is a Japanese domestic university. In particular, the Kyushu Institute of Technology, Tohoku University, Hokkaido University, and the University of Tokyo have signed a partner agreement. They have accepted international students from space emerging countries and countries beginning space activities in Asia, Africa, and other parts of the world to collaborate on small satellite missions through their own programs at their universities. Unfortunately, the agreement expired at the end of March. So from this year, we signed a cooperation agreement with University Space Engineering Consortium in April, and we are planning to launch the new program. This program provides fee-based deployment opportunities for teams that are developing satellites for the second time or later, or that want to develop satellites in a more advanced. Therefore, the size of the satellite can be selected from 1 to 3U and collaborate with a Japanese domestic university are required. The application form are being prepared and will be available on JAXA's website as soon as they are ready. We are ready. If you are interested, please contact us. The third user type is a commercial partner. In February 2018, JAXA selected two companies to be service providers for small satellites deployment in the first phase of the strategy. JAXA would like to provide more opportunities for potential users worldwide to implement the ingenuity of the service provider. This slide shows the role of each team in the KiboCUBE program. UNOOSA is a public contact point and conducts selection and other activities together with JAXA. And JAXA will provide one-year size satellite release opportunities and supports the safety review necessary to bring the satellite to the ISS. and JAXA will provide support for launch and release of the satellite to J-SSOD. The selected entities will design the satellites and manufacture the flight model. They will prepare the necessary documents for the safety review with JAXA. The satellite will deliver to Japan, and so on. This slide shows the schedule from selection to launch of a KiboCUBE is as follows. We are currently in the open application status, so everyone who plans to apply must submit an application form by the end of next month. After that, there will be selection process and the first round of applicants will be selected. After that, a second round of selection will be started and up to 2 institutions will be selected for the final round. After that, the contract with JAXA is signed and then the kickoff meeting is held. After that, we expect that satellite development step to be approximately 15 to 18 months. During this period, satellite design, iPhone manufacturing, evaluation testing, and safety reviews should be completed. Finally, the compatibility review is completed. The satellite is handed over to Japan. After JAXA receives the satellite on the J-SSOD case and send it to the launch site. We will wait for the launch for a while and then launch the satellite as soon as possible after the launch. Which launch opportunity to target will be decided after consulting with JAXA, based on your request and the progress of the development. This slide shows the University of Nairobi in Kenya, which was selected for the first KiboCUBE. This is the Kenyan satellite. It's called One Cans PF. The team member handed over the satellite to Japan, and the satellite deployed in October of 2018. At that time, all the concerned parties gathered at the Tsukuba Space Center to see the satellite release. And then these photos here were taken by the camera on board the satellite. Next, so Guatemala was chosen for the second round. This satellite was received in 2019, and the satellite was released in April of 2020. At this time, the development team was unable to come to Japan, so we held a release event via YouTube. The event was very exciting. The third one is the Mauritius satellite. It was just received in February, and we conducted a final check of the satellite while holding a web meeting. The satellite was shipped to the launch site in March, and it's now waiting for launch. Finally, I'd like to explain the key points of the application form. There are 3 points that will lead to a good evaluation if you can provide a detailed explanation. First, please describe detailed mission plan. We would like to confirm about satellite deployment, test facility, legal proceeding, satellite operation, project management structure, and so on in detail. Especially need to consider procurement or in-house manufacture for each satellite components. Second, please describe a feasibility of satellite development. We would like to know how feasible the design, manufacturing, and test schedule. Information of internal and external experts, supportive university, organization, company, or CubeCert components vendor is very helpful for us to understand your satellite development condition. And then project management is very important. So please provide the WBS development schedule and how to manage the schedule. Third one is outcome. We would like to know how much is the influence of the mission on capacity and or on countries' space development considering SDGs. It would be great if you could show us how the success of the KiboCUBE mission will affect your country. Okay, thank you for your attention. So I have one more movie. I'm sharing my screen. This movie shows the deployment event. The users of the satellite deployment were answered go or no go. In the March, all the answers were go, so we decided to release the satellite. And then the okay, and then the satellite will be deployed. Command entered. The satellite released. After the satellite is released, Kibo's outboard camera can track the satellite for a whole while. When a satellite is deployment from a rocket, the camera cannot track the deployment satellite. Therefore, This is one of the advantages of releasing a satellite from the ISS. This is one of the advantages of deployment a satellite from the ISS. It's your satellite's turn to be deployed. We look forward to receiving many applications. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oops. Thank you so much, Ms. Shibano, for the explanation about the ISS, Kibo, and J-SSOD. I think that was a lot of information, but please make sure that we will put the presentations on our website later, so you can check out everything. Okay, so I would like to dive into the Q&A now. So if my colleague Wenbin could share the screen, we had some questions that came in during the registration, so I'd like to answer them first. Yeah, perfect. So one of the questions that came in was, are there any advisory services and additional flyers for educational purposes? I saw a question relatively similar to this. So the answer is that as advisory service, I will ask JAXA to elaborate on this more, but through the development process, JAXA would help out in relation with the safety assessment. So in that case, JAXA will give you advice and you will have a lot of connections with them. But besides that, KiboCUBE Academy is definitely one educational material that you could use to really learn about how to operate, how to develop, operate, and utilize a CubeSat. So definitely KiboCUBE Academy is one thing that could be used for educational purposes. Another item is the KiboCUBE brochure, since it's already in the format of a flyer, a brochure. This brochure has a lot of information about the program itself, about the history, and it has some stories about the past winners. So these two materials would be good for educational purposes, I believe. Next page, please. Another question was, what are the characteristics of a payload or general description, and how should we lay our hands on it? So KiboCUBE Academy is definitely the right place to go for this, because we have been providing 4 days of webinars with theoretical and technical knowledge. So this is a screenshot of one of the webinars, one of the lessons provided by Professor Kuwahara. You can see that he really explains about the CubeSat standards, the systems in detail. So if you're interested, please make sure to check out all the KiboCUBE Academy presentations. Yep, and the third question is, how do we obtain license for S-band frequency in Japan? So the answer is that you do not need to obtain a license in Japan, but you will need to register your radio frequency through the International Telecommunication Unit, ITU. So ITU and UNOOSA has organized this document right here that you see on the left, which is the Guidance on Space Object Registration and Frequency Management, which is one of the 4 important documents that I really recommend you to read. So please make sure to read that, and I think that would help you. Also, KiboCUBE Academy, again, is wonderful material, because we had one lesson focusing on satellite operation and related regulations, as you can see here. So you will get some information from those presentations as well. I'd like to answer the questions that are on the chat box. So I'd like to start with, okay, so the first question is from Max from UTokyo in Japan. Our team from UTokyo has a question about section 4.8 of the KiboCUBE application form. Would you mind explaining more the detail of the difference between mission requirements, design requirements, and operational requirements? So thank you for the question. I hope all of you have seen the document before. So as he explained, we ask for requirements in 3 different I'd like to give you some examples of what a mission requirement is. So a mission requirement is a requirement for your mission, so your payload. So let's say that your mission is that you want to measure, the satellite aims to measure the quality of water in a lake somewhere. So that's your mission. And for your mission requirement, it would be that the sensor shall be able to monitor chlorophyll or a certain thing to measure the water on a lake. So it's not about design, it's not about operation, it's about requirements that link to the actual mission requirements, if that makes sense. And the second part, a design requirement, as I've seen a lot of application forms, and most of them refer to the GEM handbook, which is one of the other important documents. So you will need to make sure that the requirements, the design requirements, are aligned with the GEM handbook requirements. So to make sure that, you know, the satellite fits the JSOD deployer, or the axis is this much, or there's rails, or so there's a lot of requirements listed in the GEM handbook document. So that will need to be incorporated as a design requirement, if that makes sense. And lastly, operational requirements are more about the operational aspects. So maybe how many times you plan to get data from the satellite, how many times, let's say, how the receiving station should receive, how many times they should receive the information, or how many times they need to upload telemetry. So the different requirements about operation. So I hope I made myself clear in that point. Maybe Goto-san or Shibano-san from JAXA, if there's anything you can add about the difference between mission requirement, design requirement, and operational requirement. Is there anything to add?
Okay, so in addition, we have the safety requirement, and so sorry, the technical interface requirement is so first the technical interface is requirements between the J-SSOD case and satellite. So if the requirements is cannot allow the satellite cannot deployment from the J-SSOD case.
Thank you. I hope it was clear. So there, okay. I see the comment. Yeah, I hope it's clear. It's basically mission is about your specific mission. Design is about the links between the GEM handbook, and the operation is about the operational parts. I'm sorry, it's a bit vague, but I hope you understand. Okay, I wonder why it's showing this page. Okay, so another question is from Roberto. Is it possible to participate to the program as a private company? I answered this earlier, but if you team up with a organization that has the eligibility, so research institution, university, or organization like that, you will be able to apply, but you will not be the main point of contact, if you may. So you will need to team up with a organization that has the eligibility. So I hope that makes sense. Next, for the KiboCUBE application from Sako, due to the coronavirus outbreak, our city is completely locked down. Yes. Therefore, we may not be able to get the signature from the head of our organization. Does digital signature is digital signature acceptable? So yes, definitely for the initial version, you can send us a digital signature. But when the pandemic is better, later on, we would really appreciate it if you can send us a signed one with seals, stamps, all the official parts. But as for now, we completely understand the different things, the different situations about the pandemic. So a digital signature from the office would be fine. Another question is, if you come from a state that has previously benefited from the program, such as Kenya, do you stand a chance in this year? So yes, the answer is yes. You are eligible for the program, so definitely you are able to participate. Of course, if there are applications from different countries that have never had the chance, they might have a stronger argument. However, of course, as we mentioned earlier, there are many different criteria that we look at the selection. So if the project of that team is not feasible, we won't choose that one. So of course, you stand a chance. And I mean, as long as you're eligible, you stand a chance. Okay, I hope that answers that one. Another question from Tarifa. Will JAXA be able to offer any technical support to the selected team throughout CubeSat development phase? So maybe I will send this question over to JAXA. I know that for the safety review assessment, JAXA will be supporting you, but maybe there are more details. So maybe Shibano-san or someone from JAXA, maybe you can answer if JAXA will be able to offer any technical support to the team through the development phase.
Yes, as Atsuki said, after starting the development, we have a technical meeting to explain about the interface requirement or safety requirement and so on. And we support access to a safety review panel itself. We have also the educational program named the KiboCUBE Academy. And you can learn the basic knowledge and the basic technical information from that KiboCUBE Academy program to run all the information for the CubeSat development.
Thank you, Goto-san. Thank you for the answer. I think that was very clear. Sorry, I think I skipped one question, which was, are countries in developing economies eligible for KiboCUBE? So yes, the answer is yes. If you have seen the actual report, there's a table that has developed economies, economies in transition, and developing economies. So for KiboCUBE, this table C, developing economies, are the countries that are eligible for the opportunity. So please make sure to check it out. I'm quickly scanning through the document, but it's on page 170 of the report, table C. So please make sure to check that one out. Another question, I see that Wenbin has answered it, but Roberto, I am from Italy. We have an idea to be developed commercially. Does my team have access? So Italy is not listed under the developing economies. It is a developing economy. So you are not eligible in that sense. So as Wenbin mentioned, please make sure to team up with an organization and an institution that is eligible. And then you are, we're happy to have you be part of the team. Okay, I think I've answered all of the questions. Is there anything else from anyone? Okay, so
yes,
yes, go.
Yeah, I want to add information to the Italian people, Roberto. JAXA certified 2 commercial service provider in Japan, and Space BD and Mitsui Bussan Aerospace. So we may introduce them to your organization, and they can advise to have an opportunity to launch your CubeSat. So if you interested in that service, you can access to JAXA.
Thank you, Goto-san, definitely. So you can find it on the, not on our website, but you can go to the JAXA website, and you can also find it on the internet. But JAXA has agreed with 2 commercial companies, as Goto-san said, Space BD and Mitsui Bussan. So you can reach out to them because they are the commercial arms for using the Kibo module. Thank you, Goto-san. For applying, does the CubeSat already have to be built or undergoing development? And can we initiate the development process after, hopefully granting, after the granting of this initiative? So yes, your CubeSat doesn't have to be built or undergoing development at the moment at all. It can just be your idea. So definitely, we would actually, I think it would be better if you have a clean idea of what you need. So the answer is no, it doesn't have to be built or undergoing development. We are happy to start from scratch. But there is a certain schedule that you would need to meet. So you will need to meet the 15-month to 18-month schedule. So please make sure that it meets that schedule. The next question is the size of the CubeSat. I think I've mentioned that it's 1U. So 10 by 10 by 10. So please make sure that it fits between the 1U size. And also the specific details are listed in the GEM handbook. It has a lot of information about that could help you through the design part. So please make sure to check that document out as well. The next question I saw was from Francisco. How advanced should the project to be to apply? So it's the same as the first question. Okay, another question is from Ali. Can JAXA aid in other milestone reviews, such as critical design review, CDR, as their experience would be enriching for building capacity? So maybe I can ask my colleagues at JAXA to answer this question. So maybe if you can elaborate on how JAXA is going to support the teams during the development phase. Maybe Shibano-san or Goto-san, if you can answer how JAXA is supporting the teams through the phase. And while we're waiting, it's still, we still have time, so please send in your questions. Yes, Goto-san, please, thank you.
Thank you for waiting. Usually we don't attend to a milestone review such as a critical design review, but if you want to attend from the JAXA personnel, we can support to review and give you advice to something at the critical design review or the other review opportunity. And basically, we support the safety review for the CubeSat because it is a unique requirement for safety. So we consult requirement and support to apply to a safety review in JAXA and so on.
Thank you so much, Goto-san. I hope that answers your question. So the next question was from Ali as well. Will the satellite be insured against any launch failure? So insurance is a very important matter. For this, I would like to say that UNOOSA will not insure anything. JAXA will not insure it. So as the owners of the satellite, we encourage you to insure your satellite if you would like to insure it. Is there anything you'd like to add, Goto-san, or?
No, as you said, JAXA does not insured for the each CubeSat. So the project team should have insurance for their own CubeSat.
Thank you very much, Goto-san. Okay, the next question was from Francisco. For previous KiboCUBE winners, where or with what organizations have they acquired the budget to construct the tests that have been done? So a lot of the cases, I feel that the government or related institutes of the universities that they belong to have been supporting them. I also saw one case in Guatemala where they did crowdfunding to get the money that is needed for the project. So I understand that acquiring the budget, getting the fees is a bit difficult, but please try to talk to your government, talk to the related institutes, and of course, crowdfunding. Guatemala succeeded in that, so I think that's one really good aspect that you can use. Is there anything to add on that, Goto-san, for the funding? No, okay, perfect. Yeah, I see the comment, Francisco, Guatemala. Yeah, Guatemala did an amazing job. They had a wonderful communications plan. They were working a lot with the media to promote themselves on the newspapers. They were also doing a communication outreach to decide on the logo and the name of the satellite. So by triggering interest to your country, I think it helps a lot in the crowdfunding and also to get funding from the government or related entities. So really, when you think about your communication plan, don't just think about it in that sense. There's a lot of things that the communication plan can link to and help you. So please make sure to keep that in mind. Okay, the next question is will there be technical support from JAXA to developing countries to design and build their CUBE satellites? I believe this has been answered by Goto-san already about how JAXA supports the technical support for that. Is there anything, Goto-san, you would like to add on this?
In addition, we have an educational program named KiboCUBE. It is useful to learn the basic knowledge and the basic techniques to build the CubeSat. So we uploaded the presentation material on the web, and we will have additional learning event for everyone. So if you interested in to run that knowledge, you can attend to that program.
Thank you. As Goto-san said, KiboCUBE Academy has been a very successful webinar series. It is on our website. I saw a question about how to apply to KiboCUBE Academy, but this first series that we did in January and February is done. So you can find the recordings and the presentation already on the website. And as he mentioned earlier and before, we will provide new content for the KiboCUBE Academy this season, hopefully around summer, later in fall. So, I mean, for the 6th round, I guess that doesn't really matter, but we already do have a lot of useful content on the website, so please make sure to check that out. I think we went through all the questions. I hope I'm not forgetting anything at the moment. Oh, okay. Is the satellite deployer needed for KiboCUBE? The satellite deployer. So as our colleagues at JAXA explained earlier, the J-SSOD is owned by JAXA, so they will be providing the deployer. So all you have to do is bring the satellite safely to JAXA, and then JAXA will take care of that afterwards. Anything to add, Goto-san, to that? Okay. This is all described in the announcement of opportunity document, so please make sure to read that as well. Okay, I don't see any more questions. This is your last call. Okay, if not, thank you all for joining us today. It was really great to answer your questions. Oh, I see another one coming in. Are there limitations of technical applications that can be used on KiboCUBE? Technical applications. Do you think you can elaborate on what you mean? Basically, if it's within the 1U capacity and it's for peaceful purposes, basically we can do anything. We are open to any ideas. Just make sure that your idea is feasible, because we look at that, and that it has links to the SDGs. So basically, if it's something commercial or if it's something that's not good for society, no, but anything besides that. Okay, weather observations, radar mapping, mineral mapping. They all seem feasible. Goto-san, if you have any advice on this?
The importance is impact to capacity building or technological development in own countries and so on. So if the weather observation radar mapping is great, but the other technological purpose is also great. So we do check about the detail of the technological purpose, but influence or impact to capacity building or SDGs is more important for the KiboCUBE program. So you can consider about the technology and the purpose of the mission.
Thank you, Goto-san. I think that was a very clear answer. Okay, I think we've gone through all the questions. So I'd like to say again, thank you so much for joining in. It was a pleasure to answer all your questions. We understand that it is the pandemic is happening right now, and it might be difficult for you to bring in some ideas, but we are open. We really look forward to seeing your applications. And this KiboCUBE 6th round is special because we have so much webinars, we have so much presentations, recording documents that you can refer to. And I think it would be a help for all of you. So please make sure to check all those documents out. And before you leave, please, please, please answer our questionnaire form before leaving. All your feedback is very important to us, and we'd really like to make better webinars for you so that we can help you more. So please let us know your feedback. So I think we're ready to finish. Thank you so much for everyone for joining in. Thank you so much for JAXA. I know it's very late at night already in the Asia region, so thank you so much. And we really, really look forward to receiving your applications. You still have 1 month, so we really look forward to great applications. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Have a nice day.